Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ryan from the Skip Back campus, and I'm just having my other cup of coffee for the day, and I love the taste of coffee, but at the same time, I really don't like getting grounds in my coffee. Have you ever had that where you get to like the last couple sips, and you take a sip and you see like you're chewing on something? Right? I just don't like it. So thankfully, they've come up with this really awesome, amazing invention called a coffee filter. Now, a coffee filter takes the grounds, and it's a porous piece of paper that it allows hot water to go through the coffee grounds and to go into the pot, and then gives you a great cup of coffee. Now, that is amazing. It's a great invention. But at the same time that coffee filters allow you to keep the grounds out of your coffee to get a really good cup of coffee, all right, we also have filters that we're able to speak life into other people. All right, so for instance, have you ever given a heads up or have had a friend give you a heads up to something that might be awkward? Like for instance, you just finished dinner and you're heading out, and your friend goes, "Hey, there's something in your teeth," or "Hey, dude, your fly's down." That's probably the worst. But what about this? Have you ever had a friend that said, "Are you really thinking about dating her? I mean, you know her reputation, right?" Or, "Are you really going to that party? Like, you know there's going to be alcohol and you know there's going to be drugs there." Okay, so in my mind, like, why do we ask these questions? All right, why do we ask questions that might bring up confrontation? All right, that might be deemed as judgmental. Because in my mind, I look at it like, I just assume that the person has thought through why they're going to date that person, or the reasons of going to the party and what the possible pros and cons would be. Or I think, that person's a smart person. They can make a smart decision. They don't need me to be able to tell them that. All right, or to tell them that it might not be a good idea. If I'm going to be honest, probably the biggest one that I kind of resort back to is, I just don't want to come across as judgmental. You know, Paul had something to say about this when he talked to a group of people over in Galatia, and he said this. It's out of Galatians 6:1-2. He said, "Dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back onto the right path. And be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Share each other's burdens, and in the same way, obey the law of Christ." I take you back to my original question is, why would you ask those questions? I want to look at it from that passage's perspective, from Paul's perspective. Because the reason we ask those questions, the reason we allow ourselves to get into that opportunity of possible confrontation or awkward conversations, right? The reason we do that for a brother or sister is because exactly that. They're a brother and a sister in Christ. Like, they know exactly what Christ has called them to be. Just at the time, they might just allow their selfishness to be in the way of that. Or we look at it from another perspective. We're looking at it for the best interest of them because we love and we care about them. That's why we're willing to take that risk to make that awkward conversation happen. All right, because we just want to have a conversation with them to see what exactly their thought process is. The other thing that I want to show you from that passage is that Paul said, "You who are godly should gently and humbly help that person." That means you're not going in there and you're not trying to load shame and load guilt up on that person for thinking that that's the best decision that they could make. Instead, you're coming through it through a filter of love, and you're going and you're saying, "I love you, I care about you, and that's why I'm willing to take this risk to make this an awkward conversation." As long as we come at it through that filter of love, it's going to be well received. I mean, if you think about it, anytime that you approach somebody and you use that filter of love where you're speaking life and you're speaking truth into that person, they're ultimately gonna want to listen to you. And I definitely have had that happen in my life where where a brother has called me out and he goes, why are you doing that? And it made me kind of rethink what I was doing. What I want you guys to do this week is just as a challenge for you, just like my coffee filter over here keeps these grounds out of my coffee, I want you guys to use the filter of love to be able to speak life and speak truth into the different people that you have that opportunity to talk to. And don't be afraid of those awkward conversations, especially when you speak to them through that filter of love.